so now we're going to get into finding angles using trig, meaning the angle is missing. So the number on the inside of the triangle should be your variable for that to happen. And we should see the numbers on the outside. So we're going to still do the same steps, which means you circle the reference angle. That would be the x, the variable. Label the size in relationship to that. So if I go across here, this 4 is our opposite. I'm just going to put an O there. And this 5 is our hypotenuse. Okay, so we're going to go back to using our little acronym, SOHCAHTOA, okay, and look for the one that is dealing with an O and an H. That is the sine. So we're going to write this out as the sine of the angle, which is meaning the sine of x, is equal to the ratio opposite over hypotenuse. That would be the 4/5. Okay, so when we're trying to find the missing angle, we're basically trying to figure out what does this angle have to be that would equal the ratio of 4/5. So in order to find the angle measure that's missing, we have to do the inverse. We have to kind of do the opposite of the ratio to get to the angle. So the way that looks in trig, whenever we're finding this missing angle, x is going to equal, the inverse of sine is sine -1, but of the fraction 4/5. We're doing the inverse of sine. You do the inverse of any trig function with the inverse of sine to help us get to the angle. So to do that on the calculator, let me clear this out. The inverses are above each trig function here in blue. So that means you're going to have to hit the blue second button, then the sine. So we get that sine -1, and then we're putting in 4/5. So it's 4 divided by 5, and then we hit enter. And so this angle, we're going to round to the nearest degree, which means nearest whole number. So this angle is approximately 53 degrees. Okay, so our answer here is x is approximately 53 degrees. Okay, 53 degrees. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so let's try example 2 here. If this is my angle x, 6 would be the adjacent side, so that's the A. And across from the right angle is always the hypotenuse, so A and H is cosine. So we would do cosine of x equals the ratio A over H, adjacent over hypotenuse. So that would be 6/9. But the x is what we're trying to find, so we have to do the inverse. So x equals the cosine inverse, cosine -1, of 6/9. I'm sorry. So this is when we have to go to our calculator. And we're going to have to hit second cosine to get that inverse symbol. And then 6 divided by 9. And enter, we're going to round to the nearest degree. So this would be, with nearest whole number, would just be 48. Okay. So x, the angle, is approximately 48 degrees. Okay. So you do the same steps. You circle the angle, you label your size, and then pick your trig function. But if the angle is what's missing, you have to use the inverse to get to that angle measure. I want you to try 8 and 9, these practice problems. So we're going to kind of go through the steps the same. This is the missing angle x. If you look, this is our opposite side, so there's our O. And then if you, on here, look at number 15 is your hypotenuse. So see if you can come up with the trig function. See if you can work it through. If you want to pause the video, pause the video. See if you can get to the trig function and the answer to number 8. Okay, I'm gonna pause it. Okay, hopefully you picked sine because we're dealing with the opposite side and the hypotenuse. That would be 12.5/15. Do your inverse. I think this approximately comes out, we'll do sine inverse, 56. We're not going to round that up. So this is approximately 56 degrees. Right. So let's see how you do on number 8. I'm on number 9, sorry. Same process. We're going to start off with circling our reference angle, then labeling our sides. Okay. Based on here, what are we labeling the 16 as? Adjacent, correct. And then what do we label the 20 as? H, yeah, for hypotenuse. Okay. So what trig function deals with adjacent and hypotenuse? So see if you can come up with writing the trig equation and then coming up with the inverse to get to your solution. Okay, for a problem like this, you should have did cosine, use your inverse, got approximately 37 degrees. Now, because if you want to do your shortcut, because we're always trying to find the angle, if you want to go straight to writing it as the inverse equation, that's fine. So like if you go straight, you have to show this at least to get partial credit. All right, so that takes care of that tab. Last thing we need to talk about is angle elevation and depression. That will be on the next video. All right, thank you.